Hi, Zizaran here with another build guide. This is sort of a follow-up to the I Shot Play With Me guide. If you don't know what the Play With Me's are, they are... I'll announce a few days in advance that I'm going to do a Play With Me. And what time, and it'll be like a 0 to 30, 40 chaos build. Like very, very budget build. Easy to follow, and then think like Bob Ross, you can like play along at home, and you can watch the video. So if I encounter any problems with the build, or if it turns out to be weaker than thought, then you can see exactly how it's going to be. So yeah, I made like a step-by-step that Mediki helped me trace from the way I leveled. I ended up like taking Essence Sap early on just for mana issues, and it was really, really nice. I didn't actually need a mana flask for leveling. Pretty much infinite mana there. And then you can see that you can see the ascendancies are in as well as we go along. So it gave me a lot of speed going for like the frenzy charges early. And then I currently have the build at 71 as well. Before I post it to YouTube, I'm gonna do like a higher level one. I think I'd swap around a little bit. I would also want to go crit in game. That would require better gear than what we're like leveling with. And I'd probably end up taking the Silent Life wheel, because right now we have very little life. We're only level 71 here though, but I just wanted to demonstrate how the skill tree is going to look. So we'll add a level 91 and change to crit. That would probably be around level 80 and need more gear as well. For the skills, like early you can just level with level 1 to 12. With Split Arrow, it's really, really nice because you don't need something like LMP or anything early on. Eye Shot, use this at 12 plus. Later on, once you're 18, you want to switch to you want to focus less on things that add flat added damage. So you would put in like instead of added cold, you can have weapon elemental damage, and LMP later replaced with creating multiple projectiles. And you don't actually need more than a 4-link on this build, and you don't even need a tabula, and that's part of why I wanted to do a bow play with me as well, and I'll talk about a little bit more on the gear and why we can do this later. And like I said, the mana is coming from Essence Sap. So Val Rain of Arrows, very nice early on. Again, switch out to things like Elemental Focus, Elemental Damage with attacks, stuff like that later on, because you're going to get a lot of your flat-added lightning on your gear. Shrapnel as well, you use this until Artillery Ballista, which is 28. And you can see like this is sort of like a good setup for that. Artillery Ballista is really nice because it fires not just in melee range, so your totems aren't going to constantly die. You do want to have things fairly close to your enemies because you are using point blank. Same with like Eye Shot, I was like running up in their face. Just use normal dash until flame dash. I think you might have to buy that with a different character, but or do library. But flame dash is really nice. I would never really use blink arrow. Flame dash is so strong now. So you can use Herald and a Skater Bow if you're very comfortable with your mana usage. Especially when you have a fast bow, they're really, really nice. And obviously things like Hatred aren't good then. Later on, I swapped to a Lionize, and then you put in a Hatred. And Precision, you just keep it level 1. Just gives you some accuracy and some crit. So keep that at level 1. So I want to talk a little bit about the gear and how to make it and stuff like that. I actually did like 1 up to Gravicious and then died by accident, obviously, to Gravicious, and then I didn't have any more Quill Rain. So in the actual Play With Me video, I'm using a Storm Cloud. You can use either. Storm Cloud's obviously easier to manage mana. Quill Rain is going to shoot very quickly. Should still be fine with Essence Sap. I didn't need a mana flask. But yeah, Storm Cloud works as well, and you can upgrade to the Tempest, which I think is like level 38 requirement. Something like that. 32. And that's going to be better than both Quill Rain and Storm Cloud. Death Opus as well, if you can afford that. And this was what I used for the early leveling. Hyrie's Bite. There's a gem recipe. You can use this. You can do a 1% quality Rain of Arrows, a Chance Orb, a Shark Tooth Arrow Quiver. It needs to be white. The Onyx Amulet needs to be rare. And then the Chance Orb. And then, yeah, it makes a Hyrie's Bite by selling this to the vendor. And I show this in the preparing the gear for the Play With Me video. All the other gear, I tried to focus on having very, very garbage gear because I wanted to make this. I didn't want to have like, how do I say this? Like, I hate it when build creators go, oh, I level this using a tabula and like loads of pimping gear, but it's super easy to level it without all that. So I wanted to make sure I showed it is easy to level without all that, and then actually show it. So as you can see, the chest, it's all like, it's 4-linked from Binding Orbs. Again, I don't recommend this as maybe your first character. But as a second one, when you have like 5 or 10 C that you can do some Chaos Recipe to get some of the star gear. And the gloves is particularly what I want to show off. So to make these, you need a metallic and a frigid fossil. And the easiest way to craft them is to make a new character, kill Hillock, then sell a scouring and 1 wisdom to the vendor. Gets you a level down book. Then you have a level 1 character. You can buy item level 2 gloves. If you really want to know why this is important, it's because you have less prefixes and suffixes that you can actually hit. So you have a bigger chance that you're going to hit the cold and lightning damage. And this is generic. It's going to affect your heralds, any spell, and any attack. So it's great for anything that's not a summoner for leveling. The way you 4-link them as well, you throw a binding orb on them before crafting it. Wanderlust, and then a career ward, and then the rings were pretty garbage, and the belt was pretty garbage. So it's just all like random stuff, very, very cheap stuff. Later on, the other thing I would really recommend for leveling is the Sacrificial Heart. I think they're 1 or 2 chaos. Now, with the glove and the amulet, you have an insane amount of damage. So even if you're just using a Stormcloud or a Quill Rain, I actually used the Stormcloud all the way until like level 60. Well, actually, I used it all the way until switching to a Lionized Glare. And then before Kitava, I switched to that just to get some extra damage. I had one lying around, and I think they're fairly cheap in Trade League too. But the Stormcloud was doing really well until then. A Tempest would also be great. And that's what I had then. Didn't really change much of my gear. Then I killed Kitava and did some maps. And then I decided I was going to try to spice up the build a little bit. So I had a Death Opus lying around. Same with the Hyrule Demise. These obviously I add quite a lot of damage. Devotee's Devotion just to get some speed. I still have very little life. So at the moment I'm like level 70 and I only have like 3.5k life. I also had a Pain Seeker. This is from one of the Conquerors. They're also very cheap. And this is sort of where I want to take the build. This is sort of like advanced and past the Play With Me's a little bit, because the Play With Me's are supposed to be very budget. And more a way of demonstrate how to easy level. Regardless of what you're going to do late game or like change into a different build late game. And I know a lot of people are struggling, particularly with bow builds for leveling. So I wanted to do that on hardcore and then show off how easy you can level. You can like see the rest of my gear here as well. It's like fairly basic. And where I want to take this next, obviously I want to level it up more, and I also want to get a lot of the Redeemer items, and I can show you here on the pewdb.tw website. It's pretty cool because the same stats that are on the Pain Seekers with non-damaging ailments, that is on a lot of the Redeemer items. So you can get this on, as far as I remember, it's like boots, gloves, maybe not gloves, rings, amulets, and quiver. You can get the effect of non-damaging ailments. So currently I'm freezing bosses, and that's been pretty cool. My gem setup's a bit different. I'm currently trying to use Galvanic Arrow for single target. I don't like that. I'm actually thinking about swapping to a Tinsel. Like ideally, I'd probably use like a Comb's Heart to actually get some life on this late game, and then have 2, 5, or 6 things as my weapons. Like a Tinsel for swapping to single target, and then Death Opus or Wind Ripper or something to just kill trash with. So I can show you in-game a little bit. You can see here, this is like my gear. It's like, that was what's in like the late game example. And we can do one map real quick as well. Alright, let's see. Just gonna do like a random white beach. I just want to show off the freezing and stuff. I think how people are like, things like resist really screw me up right now. I have very low damage. I haven't like done much on this build since I finished the Play With Me. But it freezes pretty much everything. Especially once I get all the frenzy charges out. Even though it's like if there's resist on anything, then it struggles to freeze them. But even like fairly high HP monsters like Devourers, oh, we have Trembling Earth active, are getting frozen. And most of the bosses I've encountered so far as well are getting frozen. So, especially with the playstyle I'm using right now of like running up in melee, I feel like a Tinsel would be really nice. I'm obviously using point blank, so I do a lot more damage in melee range anyway. And I'm hoping with like I can get an Anoint and more of the Redeemer gear. then I should be able to freeze even like late game bosses. Metamorphs are bugged right now and you can only freeze their original form. So if I make a Metamorph with the beach boss, the beach boss one can be frozen, but not when it changes into other forms. So obviously not like a massive investment into this build yet. I think the Death Opus is fairly expensive on Trade League though, but there's a lot of other bows you can use. Chainsaw would definitely be a really good one combined with Point Blank. But it's clearing low level maps pretty fast and pretty fun right now. We're only level 74, very low investment. Metamorphs are pretty rough on this actually, so I'm fairly scared of those on hardcore. Embarrassing if I die here. The main problem is that the entire build revolves around freezing and I can't freeze them. So once GGG fixed that, that is currently a bug, then it will be a lot easier. Once I pop Val Molten Shell, then at least I have like some survival. But as you can see, it definitely struggles on those. Once they can be frozen, that should be a lot easier, to be honest. So that's sort of the build so far. As for like bandits, I actually helped Alira because I do, while I'm like currently, I'd say like virtually Z DPS, I have very low damage because I'm non-crit right now. I definitely do want to be crit later on, get some crit gear. I have very limited access to gear on SSF. Pantheons, I just have Brine King at the moment in Relic. I should probably switch to Lunarius for clear speed and Shakari once I can get the Pantheon Poison Immunity upgrade there. One of the things I'd really like to anoint would be this. Again, this is like decent damage, but also 10% effective non-damaging elements. So we want as much as that as possible, and like chance to freeze is really good. That's why currently I have like a random 6 thing that I found, but I'm using Ice Bite and Hypothermia. Part of the reason I wanted to be Raider as well. And for boots, I'd probably want to get like Hunter Tailwind boots eventually. I feel like Raider is actually really strong now instead of Deadeye, because one of the main reasons I go Deadeye is Tailwind, but we can get that on other ascendancies now. I want as much chance to freeze as possible though. So right now we have 45 chance to freeze with the Hypothermia, I think. It's something like, yeah, if they're chilled, it's another 10% chance. And I want to get more. And it's freezing most things right now, so it's been pretty fun to play. And gonna try to get more Redeemer items and then try it out more. But again, it's a bull build, so it's a bit squishy for hardcore. Until Metamorphs are able to be frozen, I'm not like too keen to play it a lot. Hopefully they do fix that bug fairly quickly. So another really important thing for this build is that you really want to use Chain on your eye shot as soon as you hit level 38. Once you have Chain, you want to avoid getting any Pierce, and that's why a Quiver, for example, with built-in Pierce would be bad. The priority of what takes effect first is Pierce, Chain, and then Fork. Chain is really nice on eye shot, so it just bounces between different projectiles. And yeah, I replace Pierce as soon as I hit 38. Until then, Pierce is quite nice. So the main purpose of this video again was to show how you can like level easier and safer on a bow build. Again, like the main thing is the amulet and the gloves. So hopefully you guys enjoyed these play with me. So we'll try to do another one soon. And if you have any questions, drop by on twitch.tv/Zizaran. Thanks for watching. Try to die less than I do.